welcome back to Mishmash Men. Today you're here with me, Dustin Labar, and to my direct left is my co-host, Mr. Adam Mauser.
How do you do?
Last week, we hope y'all liked the episode with Erica.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I want to say, because people have already seen a little bit of social media exposure that she's given us. And then when they find out like that we interviewed her, they always ask, is she like that, like all the time?
Yeah.
And whenever you meet somebody and you just have this other impression, I'm sure the millions of fans that we have are wondering, what are we like really?
Yeah.
And but she's a genuine article. Just a sweet person and very gregarious and very very generous with her time. So we appreciate her.
The fans really wanted to know. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Is how were you able to deal with it without me there?
It was a struggle.
Yeah.
It was a struggle. So Abby, she was off camera, but she was poking me with a stick whenever I forgot something. So whenever you see me flinch,
that was her,
and wince in pain.
Yeah, she was like, "Do what Dusty would do."
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
I had a separate ear little thing, and she'd say, "This is what Dusty would say."
Yeah, Dusty wouldn't say that. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. But no, I was. I heard really great things about it, and I heard that the interview was great. So, I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully, we're gonna have more people on soon.
Yep, we have.
The interview.
We've got one in July that we're going to record, and then some after that.
And I'm working on one that has been a reaching for the bars guest, but
that's right.
If I can nail him down, it'll be a fun episode with the three of us, I think.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about pyramid schemes / Ponzi schemes. So I think a lot of times they're pretty close, basically, but they're not the same. They are a little bit different.
Sure.
So I'm just going to give a general definition of a pyramid scheme, and then we can talk about that first. So this is from online.
Okay, from internet?
From the internet. A pyramid scheme is a form of investment which is illegal in the U.S. and elsewhere, in which each paying participant recruits two or more further participants, with return being given to the early participants using money contributed by the later ones.
Okay.
So, are you familiar, before we get into this one, are you familiar with any pyramid schemes that you can pull off the top of your head?
There are, I won't name names, but there are certain sales models that are based off of that.
I mean, we're definitely going to name names of companies in this episode. So, but like if you've done CrossFit, which I'm sure a lot of people listen to this one of the main ones was Advocare. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
So actually, Rich Froning got into it. He was selling Advocare. So basically, they had supplements, right? And
it's popular in the sport.
Yeah, and you want to get, good people to promote your supplements, and they would sell the supplements. But the trick was, because I had multiple people in the CrossFit community be like, you should be, I'm this guy, and you could be underneath me. And
right.
You're, so basically the gimmick is, okay, there's guy at the top of the pyramid,
right.
But I mean, he gets 2, 3, or 4 people under him. And he's like, all you have to do is buy the product. Like, it's a $300 package.
Yeah.
You buy the product, then you sell the product. The product sells itself.
It's a good quality product.
And then you get people under you, and then you get money from them. So everybody underneath is just funneling money up to the top.
Right.
So these people make money off of the people that sign up underneath those people. So it just keeps expanding out.
Right.
So the guy at the top, if you sign underneath him and then you sign 2 people, well, now he has 3 people technically under him, and all that money keeps funneling up.
So the idea, I'll just say it another way. The idea is, it's a great product. You should buy it. And then, hey, if you're interested in making more money, do you have friends? Do you like talking to people? And then, you could convince them to help you out and maybe expand your sales a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it just continues to grow.
So I had a conversation with a guy who was making a lot of money doing it.
I'm sure, yeah.
Getting a lot of people under him. But he was like, man, you'd just be so good at this. You could really promote this product. He was like, it's $500 all in. You get the starter pack, and then you'll just do great. You'll get people underneath you. I was like, well, I don't have 500, but if I'll be so good at it, can you just loan me the 500?
Right.
And he was like, well, that's not the way it works. And I was like, it seems like that could be the way it works.
Right.
I mean, but he was like, no, you have to sign up and pay. So, these have happened a ton of times. So, and it is illegal, but they've remarketed some of them. They call them multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, they're like, it's not a pyramid scheme; it's multi-level marketing.
But how do they retain you? Or are you going to get to that?
Well, how did the pyramid scheme keep you?
Yeah, because you could try it and be like, this isn't for me. I'm not a good sales guy.
So typically, this is the way it goes. You're not making money off. You are, but you're not making your money off of the sale of the product. You're making your money by telling other people how good the product is, and they should sell it also. So you may have people that you sell they may come to you and buy, I want some protein or I want this. There's people that do that. Mm-hmm. But really the scheme is that you want as many people underneath you because all of the people they sign up, that money funnels up to you.
Right.
So what happens is the people that fizzle out are the people that have a hard time. You could be a great salesman. You're not just making a living selling the product because the product's very expensive. There's a low return on it.
And the margin's probably
very bad.
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So, so the people that fizzle out are the ones that are just like, I'll just sell the product. I don't need to sign my friends up, but you're not going to make money doing that. So you have to sign up people underneath you.
Yeah.
Which then, and then they're like, if you sign up this many people, you're a platinum star member and you get to go to Hawaii on a vacation with everybody. And you're like, okay, well, but how many people do I have to scam into signing up and paying $500?
Right.
And nobody really, it's the guy at the top that starts it. And then, that's where it goes. So let's just go over 10 of the most famous pyramid schemes. Schemes is a bad word. It just sounds nasty.
I mean, that's the vernacular.
Yeah, it is, but it's a scheme. Mary Kay Consulting. I remember this vividly.
Oh yeah. The pink cars.
Yep. So, I remember somebody asking my mom, she was like, you'd be great. My mom would be the worst salesman. So the fact that somebody said you would be great is like hysterical to me because my mom, she would just be the worst. But yeah, they'd be like, if you wear makeup, it's unbelievable products. You look so beautiful.
You wear makeup? Do you have friends?
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Do you like money? It's like, oh my God, this couldn't get any better. I've heard of that one. Then we have Business in Motion.
I've heard of that one.
I've never heard of that one. It was so it was basically like club vacation packages is basically the way it works. So
okay.
that was kind of the one. It was in Canada.
I think it's pronounced Canada.
Canada. I'm sorry. Yeah. There is an IA in there.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry. A lot of these ended up with some kind of settlement at the end. Like people were like, hey, you got me. I want money. So this one ended up with 6.5 million, but we'll find out that there's way bigger settlements because that was a long time ago. Another one I haven't heard of that was in the 80s. I had to read a little bit about this. It was United Sciences of America. So basically they were promoting HIV and cancer drugs.
Oh,
is what it turns out. So that was not.
Yikes.
Yeah. So it was not the best.
That's like preying on people that
I think
that are desperate for a solution.
So right? I think the problem with the reason that pyramid schemes get people, I don't want to say anything, but the reason it gets people is because they're like selling you the American dream.
Yeah.
It's like, do you hate working 40 hours? You're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, it's like, well, you could just not have to work. You could just make all this money. Your money makes, and so everybody's like sold in, and like they're pretty much willing to sell anything. They don't know if the supplement works. They're not scientists.
No.
They're just like, this protein is like any other protein.
Yeah.
And typically the stuff ends up going away. But do you ever heard of Spark? Spark, the energy drink?
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
That was like an Advocare thing. An Advocare would sell you like $50 bottles of protein, and they'd be like, you're going to lose so much weight, but it's because they're like, but only drink this protein 3 times a day. Don't eat anything else.
Okay, I think I know someone that might have been an Advocare through a friend, salesperson, because I remember hearing about this pitch. I didn't hear it directly from that person, but it was like, that's all I heard about for a little bit.
I almost guarantee you that if you've been in the CrossFit community as long as you have, somebody has tried to sell you Advocare products. Because it's like a big thing in CrossFit.
Maybe so.
I mean, it's a big thing in CrossFit.
Or maybe they look at me, they're like, this guy, there's no helping.
Yeah.
Look how pathetic he looks.
Then we have USANA Health Sciences. They call it multi-level marketing because it only sells its products through distributors. Or it doesn't just do that. You can sell the product you can sell their product to anyone, not just distributors. That's how they get out of it. So they're not just selling the product to distributors. Somebody can just go online and buy their product. That's how they tried to get around it. But they did find that they were a pyramid scheme. So they end up suing them and winning the class action lawsuit. This is the big one that I wanted to get to. There's two, actually. Herbalife.
I've heard Herbalife. Yeah.
People still today, they know it was a scheme, and they still will try to buy the products.
Wow.
So they have not like given up yet. They're still like, these products are unbelievable.
Well, it's almost two separate bins though. So they could be a decent product. I have no firsthand knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Advocare. They could be a decent product.
Yeah.
And good enough.
Good enough. Yeah.
But the scheme to sell it, that's what I think most people, that's what's illegal. That's what people object to. So is Herbalife shady? Yeah.
I mean, so did you actually hear, before I get to that, I was thinking about this last night and I forgot to look it up. This guy's wife like went missing, I think was part of the thing. Like they had storefronts. We can look it up. I'll have somebody post something about it. So they ended up paying a $200 million fine in 2016. So they felt that it was enough because it was just a pyramid scheme.
And it wasn't David Miscavige's wife.
No. But that lady is not alive for sure. You ever heard of Bill Ackman? I've heard of him. He's an investor. He shorted Herbalife stock and like made a ton of money. So he was like, I see the writing on the wall on this, and like made a whole bunch of money on it.
Fix that wagon.
So that was interesting. So Herbalife is technically still around. They had like storefronts, but I think that was more of a way for them to like funnel money. Cause you know how like, just Scientology just buys like all these properties and calls them churches, but it's a way to funnel money into property.
Right.
Like you're not going there. You're not going to the Herbalife store to buy Herbalife. You just order it online. Like it's within our time where we order stuff online.
Plus real estate, especially commercial real estate, is a decent investment as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so I think that's exactly what they did. Cause I watched a documentary and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Like why does the wife always go missing at any of these schemes?
I don't know.
It's like, she knows too much. She can't be around.
Maybe she sees the books, hears a couple phone calls, and then
and she's like, I'm going to take this to the police.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you?
All right.
I guess we'll find out.
Good luck.
Yeah. He's like, everybody's like, wasn't your wife Asian? This is a different lady. He's like, no, it's the same lady. Don't ask any follow-up questions. This one I've heard of, and I was hoping that you would know more about it. Amway.
I've heard of Amway. Yeah.
So the distributors were not paid specifically for recruiting new sales people, just a commission on the products new distributors bought. So new distributors would buy the product to sell, and then that person above them would make the money, which is essentially exactly. I mean, dude, it's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, we should probably start one today. I don't know what we would do.
We could do a podcast one.
Where we just get podcasts underneath us.
Yes.
And then every time they get an ad that comes up to us somehow.
Yeah, we make the 2 cents.
And then you sign up new podcasts. It's like, listen, this is the best way. It only takes multiple hours of your life a week.
Right.
And you just keep working at it. The Amway settled a class action lawsuit and for $100 million in California. Ooh. So it's a pretty substantial amount of money.
Was that in federal court and it just happened to be in California, or was that like a...
it was a federal district court in California.
Okay.
Yeah, federal district court in California. So I guess the problem with these specifically is that a lot of them, you kind of get away with it if the product's actually distributed, if people are making money through the sale of the product.
Right.
But when you're just making money off like scamming some loser into selling the stuff, I knew a lot of people that did it. Like I knew a lot of people that like quit their jobs, and then there's no going back. I mean, I guess there's going back, but it's a problem. So, which brings me to my next thing. So let's switch gears and go to what I am super excited to talk about is the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So this is a little different. Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud in which belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise is fostered by the payment of quick returns to the first investors from money invested by later investors. So it's similar to a pyramid scheme, that you're getting money from other people's signing up, but there's not a product to sell. It's legitimately just the returns on money that you think you're investing.
Right.
So do you know like who is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time of considered?
The U.S. government with Social Security.
Yeah, I forgot you were going to say that.
So Bernie Madoff.
That's correct.
Bernie Madoff.
So this is interesting. I watched a documentary on him and I found it very interesting. So the funny thing about him is he could have just been fine if he didn't do this. He had an actual thriving business.
Yeah.
So did you watch it?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen when that was going down. I was watching a lot of it.
So he had like he was in a building and like upstairs was the fully legal functioning investment firm or whatever he was doing exactly. Then below, he had this dude that had been working with him since like the 70s, and he was just running this total Ponzi scheme. So he basically I'm going to say it in super simple terms because that's how I understand it. So you'd meet Bernie Madoff, and he'd be like, I have this unbelievable investment opportunity. You give me $100,000, and in 1 quarter, you're going to make 20 grand. So people are like, oh my God, that's the return on the investment is crazy. How could I not? But what you didn't know is he would take your 100 grand and he would put it in a bank account. And then he would take somebody else's 100 grand and then multiple people's 100 grand.
And the investment was just more people.
And then he would pay you the $20,000.
Right.
But it was just from somebody else's $100,000.
Yeah.
And it was just the more people he got, it was like some crazy amount of money, that like billions of money like that he defrauded people. So it was an account that pulled from 5,000 clients, and he withdrew from that. And once 2007, 2008, the financial crisis hit, people were calling in there.
Yeah,
people were like, "I need that money."
Like at the in the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. There was a bank run, and like, okay, well, I need my money.
Yep.
And he didn't have it.
Yep, that's just what happened in. Well, I mean, it was a bank, but that bank in the Silicon Valley Bank is something happened, and everybody was like, we need our money now. So they went to him and they were like, we need our money. We want to get out of this. And he was like, I can't pay you all back. Right. I can't pay you all back that money.
And he wasn't George Bailey. It's in so-and-so's house.
Yeah. It's under the floorboards. So he's the biggest, I shouldn't say the biggest. He was the one, he's definitely had the most money, but he was one of the ones that everybody kind of knows about.
Right. As a private individual.
Yes, not the United States government.
Or the Federal Reserve. That's another with their fractional reserve banking, but that's another podcast we're going to get to.
A fractional reserve banking?
That's our whole banking system is based off fractional reserve. It's it is literally a Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
Because if everyone draws their money out, they don't have enough money to cover it. So they only have to have legally a fraction in reserve of the money.
Like what fraction?
I don't know what the number is.
Is it very small? Is it smaller than you want it to be?
And that's why the Federal Reserve keeps printing more money.
Right.
Even though they're like the Constitution says Congress is supposed to regulate
the printing of money.
It's not printing, but because money is legally a coin.
Yeah, right.
Those reserve notes are something different.
I gotcha.
But yeah, fractional reserve banking is literally a Ponzi scheme.
That's funny.
Yeah. And sad.
It's very sad. It's very sad. It's funny because you were just like the United States government. The guy, so number one on the list is Charles Ponzi.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's how the name came about.
Yeah. So Charles, it was an Italian guy. It can be traced as far back as the mid 1880s. He's considered obviously the originator of the Ponzi scheme. He was making money off these like stamps from different countries. So you could like basically invest on these currency from different,
like tariff stamps type of thing?
Yes, from different countries. And then he was doing exactly the same thing. He was taking people's money, and then he actually moved to America, and that's how it kind of got
followed that.
That's right. So at the end of 1919, Ponzi founded the Securities Exchange Commission in Massachusetts.
Yeah, there we go.
And within 18 months, within a month, 18 investors put a total of $1,800 into his company, which in 1919 was, the investors were paid the next month with money that Ponzi secured from the next set of investors. And over time, Ponzi's business expanded, and he began to hire agents to seek out new investors across New England and New Jersey. So he's just expanding and getting all this stuff. 3/4 of Boston police officers have invested in his scheme. And a banker from Kansas put down $10,000. And then in 1920, Ponzi ranked an impressive $1 million in a single day, and that's in 1920. He generated an estimate of $15 million in 8 months. Well, it may seem small, but obviously it's a lot bigger. That's what's particularly interesting about his, because he made $15 million in 8 months in 1920.
That's
which
a
I
lot
don't
of
even
dough.
know what that would be now. Hundreds of
Maybe
millions of dollars.
I'd say at least $100 million.
$100 million.
Yeah. Just total guess. Thanks to inflation and the Federal Reserve.
Yes, thanks to those guys just printing whatever they want. So then we have Bernie Madoff. So we talked about him. I just talked about him first. I just want to pull up some of the numbers that he talked about. $64.8 billion is how much he took from people in 17 years.
That's with a B.
$64.8 billion
Billion.
over the course of 17 years. He, you know what his sentence was? He sentenced to prison?
No.
Money laundering, and he got sentenced to 150 years in prison.
And he was what, in his 70s when
He was older, yeah. So
Yeah.
he died in prison. It said he died in April 2021. And he established the Bernie Madoff Investment Securities, which was like his legitimate job, like his legitimate business in the 60s. And then obviously found out. I mean, it's a pretty smart plan, to be honest with you. You just take money from people that's not yours and you spend it.
I wonder if it was one of those things where it just kind of starts off, you fudge a law or fudge what you should do or what you ought to do
Right.
a little bit, and then you start seeing a little more potential, and no one's knocking at your door saying, hey, you can't do that, and it's like, maybe I'll do it again.
Yeah,
and then it just grows and grows, and then you're in too deep, and you're stuck.
I mean, for sure, there has to be like a point of no return for somebody like him where you've like made a couple mistakes or you've done what you've done. Now you're like, well, I just got to keep this train rolling
Because you can't, otherwise you'll go to jail.
Yeah, because you can't stop because these people still want their money and their investments. So it's
Yeah.
not like you could just be like, hey, guys, sorry about the mix-up. This was just a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only way out is try to legally invest their money and give them a return. But there's no way you're going to give them a return what you promised them.
And you can't dump that kind of dough like that.
Right.
Because then the SEC, presumably an up-and-up organization, says, like, hey, where'd you get the $64 billion or whatever it was?
Yeah. So he had a lady in the documentary that was like, worked in that level, and they would just, I mean, she was like, there's so much money funneling through this place, like shoebox money. Like, they're just like, what are we going to do with all this stuff?
That's crazy.
He put something like, I don't have the exact number here now. It must be in a different article, but he just had like $150 million sitting in one bank. He was like, this is just where I'll put it. We're like, no, like, he's like, I'm sure somebody was like, should we put it in different banks? He was like, that's a terrible idea. We should keep it in this one bank. And then that's what he would use to like buy himself stuff or whatever. And then,
why not? If you're going to break the law, just go ahead and whole hog.
This one's funny. I don't know a lot about it, and I thought we'd talk about it because I do know who the guy is. Do you know who Lou Pearlman is?
Lou Pearlman. It sounds familiar.
He probably sounds familiar because he launched the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, that's right.
And
he was a boy band guy.
And NSYNC, yep.
Yeah.
He got, all these bands to become famous. He basically was telling people, he was using his fame to like funnel all this money into his company, and he swindled around $300 million from bank investors. He actually pleaded guilty in 2008. God, I think he was really old. He was given 25 years, but he died in federal custody in 2016.
Yeah.
So he basically was like, I've got the next hit on the corner, like invest into whatever his thing was, whatever his record company was. And he was like, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, am I right, guys? And they were like, yeah, here's a bunch of money. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah.
But I think he was like a super creepy, like fraudulent dude anyway. Like even, I mean,
have you seen pictures? You see him, you're like, oh my gosh, what's up with this guy? Yeah.
They used to like create boy bands. Isn't that so funny? They would just be like, you're good looking and can sing, and you're good looking and can sing. You guys should sing together, and then we'll just like the girls will go crazy.
Like Menudo, you remember them?
I don't think I know what they look like.
That was I can't remember what country it was, but it was somewhere in South America or Central America.
Right.
And it was a boy band. Ricky Martin, he was part of Menudo.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was always just like a singles guy. So he was in a band called Menudo.
And they would just like replace, once a talent got old enough, they were like a grown man or pretty close to it.
Yeah.
All right, you're out. We need to get fresh meat in here because Menudo, I have no idea if it's true, but I think the Spanish is fresh meat.
Oh, well, that makes sense. That's their fault that they should have known not to sign up for that band.
So that was like early 80s. And then the boy band stuff really started to proliferate after that.
Because there was every like every boy band ever came out around the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And it's all the same. You had like
Same formula.
You had like the good looking guy, like the bad boy.
Yeah.
The there was the guy that like nobody cared about, but he was just in the background for like background music.
Right. It's kind of like our gym.
It's exactly like our gym. We're all the back guys. We're all the guys that nobody cares about. Yeah, so that one was interesting. I like was reading this last night and I was like, Lou Pearlman. I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? And then I was like, oh yes.
I thought maybe it was Captain Lou from the Wrestling Manager.
Captain Lou?
Albano. Captain Lou Albano.
That's funny. Well, I think that's good for today.
All right.
Did you enjoy Ponzi schemes?
That was good. I love bad mouthing
the United States government,
Social Security, and
Social Security.
the Federal Reserve. Those are two things.
Social Security is we've all invested a lot of money into Social Security.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. The older you get, the more you've invested.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you'll get some of it.
I'm not counting on it. I am not counting on it. That's not in my plan of like how much will I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you retire, you're not like, I need that money. You got it all set.
I will deliver pizzas before I count on that money.
That's probably smart.
Yeah.
So a couple things before we go. First off, you'll see that I'm wearing. Oh, I'm going to stand up.
Does that say RFTB Studios?
RFTB Studios.
Yeah. That's the parent company, isn't it?
That is the parent company of this podcast and also the parent company of Reaching for the Bars podcast. So RFTB Studios. The T-shirt was made by Charlie Mike Never Weekend Apparel.
Yes.
So if you guys need any apparel, T-shirts, anything that you can think of, these guys will do. You can go online onto their website. You can order this shirt. You can order our Mishmash Men shirt.
That's right.
You can order, there's a new Reaching for the Bars podcast shirt. And the owners have put up a bunch of different cool shirts. I know a lot of guys will see something cool and they'll want to make a custom one. They can absolutely do a custom one for you guys. And if you're interested in ordering an RFTB Studio shirt, a Mishmash Men shirt, or anything else from our podcast, if you go to their website, you can click a pickup option if you're local to us,
Right.
and you don't have to pay for shipping.
Charlie Mike Never Weekend Apparel.
Yep, it's locally owned and operated. Great people, friends of the podcast. They make all of our pretty much every T-shirt you see us wearing in here, at some way or another, has been made by them. They're super speedy. Great T-shirt company to work with.
And let me throw this out there. You don't need like high volume.
No.
So
Yeah,
if
correct.
you, let's say, because a lot of times we do these CrossFit competitions, it'll be a team of 2, 3, maybe 4.
Right.
And the staff is great. They'll print up 2, 3, or 4 shirts.
Right.
They'll help you design the shirt. The shirts are good quality. I love the feel of the shirt.
Yep.
Some of you already have, our listeners have the Mishmash Men shirt and crop tops. And so they're great shirts. Love them. The staff bends over backwards to make sure that you're getting a good quality product.
Yeah, we really appreciate everything they do. I'm going to be wearing some different ones that they've made over the next couple episodes. So I have this one. Before we go, I was going to ask you and I forgot. So we're saying goodbye, but I'm going to ask you this. Did you hear about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fighting?
I certainly did.
Okay.
And the latest.
And the latest? Oh, that they're going to do it in the Coliseum?
The latest is George St. Pierre is coaching Elon Musk.
Yes, and John Jones is talking about coaching Mark Zuckerberg, is what I heard. But
he's got no help. I like John Jones.
We're probably going to ask you when you sit in and Reaching for the Bars too, but who do you got in that fight?
Oh, Elon Musk. Hands down.
Is it because of size?
It's size, and then I saw Elon Musk looks like he's got fight in him.
He does look like he's...
The other guy, I saw a clip of him training, and it looked like if you were going to be, let's film a scene, and what we're going to have is this really rich guy who hires a coach to train him, but he's not really doing anything.
We watched it on Reaching for the Bars
It was
last
pathetic.
week.
I know nothing
it's
about
not
that, other than I have done some grappling in the past. I have done some other things.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I saw all kinds of like missed chances, missed opportunities, and just weak. He just doesn't look like he's got fire.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain amount of rage that you just kind of keep on tap.
Yeah.
Controlled.
Eli looks like he could freak out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure it's going to go to the ground. These guys aren't standing and punching each other in the face. But
that would be sweet.
I mean, it would be if they just were laying the leather. So it may be on UFC 300. And then Italy has said, you guys can do it in the Coliseum.
Oh my
so they reached out. They were like, you guys can
Will
do
there
it.
be lions?
I
There
mean,
needs to be
if
lions.
there's not lions, I mean, there's going to be lions for sure. So I meant to ask you that in the beginning of the podcast, and I forgot. And then I was thinking that actually they made me a Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon shirt that I'll be wearing in a future podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Elon's going to demolish him.
Plus, he's a lot bigger.
We looked it up. I think he's 6'1" or 6'2",
Yeah,
and 220-ish.
that sounds about right.
And Mark Zuckerberg is shorter and skinnier than me.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's a lot skinnier than
a lot skinnier than me.
Yeah.
I look like I ate Mark Zuckerberg, is
Yeah.
what I look like. So he doesn't really stand a good chance. And his fighting he won like a white belt tournament in jiu-jitsu, and everybody's like, oh my god. You think
I think I could do that.
I mean, but do you think that he didn't walk in there and he's like, how much is it going to cost me to win this tournament?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that like his training partner was like not even. He was like, oh no, watch out for the punches. Oh my god.
It was pathetic.
It was not very cool. It was.
I
not
thought
cool.
it was a joke.
No, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Did you hear him on the Rogan podcast?
Who, Elon?
Yeah. No.
Zuckerberg?
Zuckerberg. Yeah.
No.
He was on Rogan's podcast and he was talking about him training, and he was like, I just need to get out some. Whatever. That's a pretty good impersonation.
That was really good.
Yeah.
It sounded like somebody else we know.
Did you think? Yeah. I only have one voice like that. I have my ultra Southern Mabry voice, and
That's a good one.
And then
Say
I have
theater.
Theater. Whoo, that's right, brother. That's Mabry. All right. So again, thank you to Charlie Mike Never Week and Apparel Company. Thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in every week. We appreciate you guys. We hope you enjoyed the interview last week. Adam did a great job. And then
And we missed you. I really did miss
well,
you.
I appreciate it. I felt like when I saw her clip and she was like his partner couldn't be there. And I thought you may have told her to say like he's very good looking. I'm sorry that I missed him or something cool like that. But she was just like, Adam was awesome.
The first 20 minutes of the podcast, that's all I talked about, how great you are.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I can't. That's awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I needed
You
that.
tune in next week.
I needed that today. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all. Until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Stay fresh.